Hello, this is Edith Newmeyer, and I am the author of the book The Mystery of Adam. Today I'm going to talk about red flags, hoaxes, and misinformation, or false teachings. I have been talking about this false teaching about the Antichrist and have suggested that maybe Francisco Rivera is maybe the origin of this confusion about the Antichrist. But I think, that cannot be, of course, proven, but you can go back and see that what he proclaimed, about Revelations is, I don't believe is correct. I mean, you can do your own research and come to your own conclusion. But what I'm talking about today is there is so much misinformation out there, extreme misinformation out there. And we are bombarded today with red flags, hoaxes, and misinformation. But we don't understand that this has been going on for thousands of years. We are people that have been deceived. Human beings have been deceived since the beginning of time. Let's start, with my book, The Mystery of Adam. The first woman was deceived and the first man. Now, I don't believe in this, what Paul believed, that only the woman was deceived. I believe both of them were deceived. There's not one indication in Genesis that the man was not deceived and that he did it on purpose. I just do not believe that. Okay? They both were deceived. They both had misinformation, not just the woman. The woman just didn't come up with false information on her own just all of a sudden. They both must have been talking about things and they misled themselves and came to believe misinformation. For instance, they believed that when they touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that they would die. Not just eating it, but touching it would already kill them. Okay, they would die. So that alone, that misinformation, where did it come from? We don't know. We don't know where that misinformation came from. But Eve believed that. Okay, she believed that. And I believe, of course, the man believed the same thing, not just the woman. And because they both misbelieved, they both didn't have the correct information, Satan could continue to deceive them. So we are human beings that are easily deceived. Why? Because we're not God, we're not even angels. We don't see everything, okay? We have a tunnel vision. That's just the way we are. We have a tunnel vision. And so we have a tendency, like sheep, to continue with this tunnel vision. We also have an opportunity to broaden our vision by listening to others, by maybe moving to the other direction. I have made that example before. Look, this right here. You see only this side, but I see this side. And unless you ask me about, or unless I turn it around, or you ask me about the other side, will you get my information? So we need to listen to each other for correct information. We cannot just say, oh, this is what I see and that's what I believe. I have to listen to other people. I have to get information from various places in order to come up with the truth. Because we have tunnel vision. And our government and our leaders, they want to control us. And they take advantage of our tunnel vision. Now today, we're living in a world where we really have a lot of information on our fingers tips. Okay? We have the internet, and the internet is full of information. However, the internet information is mixed. We have the truth, and we also have plenty of non-truths. So we have to sort through these things and come to the true understanding of what is going on. Now, my channel I have not talked very much about political things. Um, I do that usually on my Facebook page, that I really get involved a little bit in political things. But today you cannot even avoid to evaluate what's going on politically, because it affects so much um, our Christian view on things. People want to know about the end times, right? So everything is tied together with the end times. However, there's lots of misinformation out there. Like, for instance, what I'm talking about with the Antichrist. I mentioned that Francisco Ribera, this Jesuit theologian from the 1500s, may have contributed to the false understanding of what the Antichrist is, or even has um, even shaped that, or not just shaped, but come up with this idea of the Antichrist. Now, he was not the only one. Okay, people pick up something and then they add more, and it's, it just gets out of hand in a sense. So no, he is not probably the only one that started this, because others build on that idea about this Antichrist being this world ruler way at the end during the tribulation. Now, of course, many things are wrong. For instance, this idea about the Antichrist is wrong. It's not found in the Bible. Okay? It's not found in the Bible. We only find Antichrist in the letters of John, which I have already mentioned. And if we look at that, if we study that, it's a totally different concept than this world ruler at the end. Okay? Now, this world ruler at the end is correlates with the beast out of the sea, okay, or the man of perdition, or the man of lawlessness. That's a totally different concept, which not necessarily is limited to the what we perceive as the tribulation. I said what we perceive as a tribulation, the great tribulation, doesn't exist in the Bible either. Okay, so there are so many misinformation, so much misinformation out there. There's so many hoaxes out there that mislead um, the the Christians. Now, let me first tell you, everybody knows what a hoax is, right? So I don't have to explain that. But I don't know if all people know what I'm talking about red flags. Okay? A red flag, and I hope I can explain it pretty good. Red flag is an event, a planned event by a group of people. And I say group of people because it's never done by just one man. Usually a group of people. And of course, there could be one person on top. But this event was planned to use this to actually mislead the masses. And then it was blamed on another group. Again, in order to use this event, this hatred, this anger, to manipulate the people's action. I'll give you an example. The 9/11 was a great red flag. Now, a red flag means it's a real event, which 9/11 was. A very real event. It was a horrible event. But it was not planned as the public was informed. It was not, it was, people were misled and deceived to believe that it was caused by these airplanes, and which it wasn't. Okay, when we do the research, when we listen to researchers and experts, we know it was a planned demolition. It was a planned demolition that, or with explosives that we don't even understand. The public doesn't even understand. And the public was told that it was um, caused by these terrorist, Arab terrorist leaders. And Saddam Hussein, or who is it? No, yeah, Saddam Hussein. No, Bin Laden. I don't remember. Anyways, it's been a long time. Some Arab guy was behind it. But in reality, it was Bin Laden was behind it. But in reality, it was another group that was behind it. And I'm not going into detail today what group. You can actually find out for yourself. There's plenty of information out there that you can find out who was behind 9/11 in reality. So we have information out there. So the government is giving us some information that is a hoax, or that is a red flag. It is wrong. Okay. And then when people research, they come to the conclusion it was wrong information, and the people were misled through this event. Misled through this event. Okay. That's what a false flag is. Every war was started through a false flag. The war on Poland, that was through Germany, was a red flag. Germany planned it, and they blamed it on Poland so they can attack Poland. First World War was a red flag. It was planned by a certain group so they could start the First World War. Plenty of things that happened uh, during history. I mean, you can go back probably all the way to the beginning. It has always been done, and you have to be careful when you hear things on the news, and really do your research and find out. We have the internet. We can find out many things now. I know some people, uh, they don't know how to get information from the internet, but we still need to be very cautious about anything that we're hearing on the news, because there are many times, especially these mass shootings, are usually false flags. You notice that these people always kill themselves, okay, or somehow get away with things, okay, or killed in prison eventually, because these people have been used, okay, they have been used, they have been brainwashed, and they have been used to do these things. But the people behind it that orchestrated it and planned it, they have nothing to do with the person that's actually doing these things. So we have to be very careful. It's not only that in the Christian circles, in Christian history, that there are false flags, hoaxes, and misinformation. But we are living in a time right now where these hoaxes, these false flags, and this misinformation is gaining momentum. That means like a snowball or an avalanche, it's picking up momentum and speed and volume. Okay, we're having more and more of these things as we're coming into the end times. We are already in the end times. Okay, please do not be fooled. We are not in these last days. Okay, these very, well, let's say these last minutes, I guess, because we are in the last days, but these last minutes, we're not in it. We're not in what the Bible calls the wrath of God. We're not in there yet. Okay, but we're moving towards it, okay? Because Satan is realizing he has only a little time left, and so he's becoming even more active, okay? As we are approaching the end, the final return of Jesus, Satan is running out of time and he goes crazy. And so he wants as many people on his side, or he wants as many people as he can to be deceived. And because he wants people to be deceived, he works overtime. He has already deceived many people throughout since Jesus' arrival, right? 2,000 years ago. He has still deceived, oh my goodness, how many people? I mean, I always think about 80% or even more. Um, during the Dark Ages, there were no Christians left. I mean, real believers. There were Catholics, and that's what about it. But real believers, there were very, very few because they killed them all. Okay, they killed them all. The Roman Catholic Church killed all the believers, the true believers, and they would have killed Luther because I think 100 years before Luther, they killed already somebody else, a very important theologian. And luckily, well, not luckily, but God, of course, protected him. He had this benefactor that was protecting him, and so the Pope couldn't get to him and kill him as well. That would have been the end of the Reformation. So no, God decided it was time for the Reformation. It was time that people will again hear the message of truth. But when that happened with Luther and the Reformation and Calvin, well, guess what? That just caused Satan again to work overtime and start with the Counter-Reformation. And that's where Francisco Ribera kind of fits in. So right then and there, Satan decided he's going to have to bring out a message to again deceive the reformers or the people that followed the reformers. And so he invaded again, of course, the church and misled the the people that followed, Jesus. And of course, now we have how many? 500 years after the Reformation. Yeah, we have 500 years. Actually, we celebrated last year. We celebrated 500 years. Can you imagine? We celebrated 500 years of Reformation, and imagine how much Satan worked overtime um, during that time, just to mislead the few people that still hold on to the belief that we are saved through faith and not through works. The few people that would not bow down to the Catholic Church. And of course, today as we come to the end and the return of Christ, we will have more and more people or more and more information that misleads even the few elect, okay, which are, the believers, okay, the true believers. And I see it over and over again that, yes, people even that claim they're Christians, right, they're misled. There's so much information out there. And I want to inform people and shake them and say, hey, it is time to wake up. It is time to wake up, people. Um, but I'm just a small voice. I'm just a teeny voice, and it seems like nobody wants to, even find my channel, and that's okay because people that will find my channel, they are led by the Holy Spirit, I know, and people who will follow the big masses, um, they will be deceived. That's just the way it is. But I am warning, and I want to warn today. People, you need to wake up, okay? Some people may have 90% of the truth or 95% of the truth, 99% of the truth, but they will mix up a 1% of the mistruth and they will mislead you. And that is the danger. That's the danger of these people that have big followers, okay? Big followers, but they don't teach you the whole truth. And if you are a person that just goes like this, you will be misled. Now, I understand I have people that I listen to, and they mix in this little 1%, but I'm aware of it. And I can say, okay, I understand this is really good information, but this is not correct. People, you're still gonna, and you know, we are human beings. We don't know everything. I don't know everything, okay? And I'm not claiming to know everything. And I am not claiming that I am superhuman or even God, because I have the same problems. And I have to fight that I need to open my vision, that I need to collect information. I cannot just gurgitate and gurgitate and gurgitate, but I have to come up with our own, with our understanding. We have to pray about these things. We cannot just sit there and let people give us information. We have to stop and think, okay, Holy Spirit, show me what is correct and what's not correct. So I may bring more in my videos also some of these political things, because these political things are tied into with the end times. I haven't done too much right now, but up to now, but I will, because I can see how all this ties together. And it's not just, you know, all this ramp, which I bring in sometimes, you know, right now, there's just so many things going on. And like I said, I'm not going to be specific today, but there's so many things going on today, which obviously are signs of the end, okay? The end. That means Jesus return. Jesus will return when all the Christians, well, let's see, when all the Gentiles have been reached. And that's what Jesus says, when the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. So all Gentiles that were supposed to be reached are reached. That's when Jesus will return for his bride. And this bride contains, of course, Gentiles and Jews. Okay, I'm not saying they're just Gentiles, because that's wrong. That's wrong theology. If anybody believes that the church only includes the Gentiles, is wrong. That the church includes everybody, beginning with Adam and with, well, Adam. Okay? So the first man and the first woman are included in the church, because the church is the bride of Christ. And God's intention was from the beginning to create this bride of Christ, or bride of God. There's not two brides, there's only one. Okay? And this bride that belongs to God, God wanted to reach from the beginning, and he had a plan to reach this bride. Now, I know some people think I am teaching you the wrong thing, but that is not the wrong thing. Okay? Maybe you have the wrong idea of what's going on. There's only one bride of God, only one. Israel is the bride of God. Israel is includes all believers in Messiah. All believers in Messiah. Okay, sorry. And the believers start with the first man and the first woman called Adam. Okay? And you think I'm crazy too? No, you do your study. The first man and the first woman God called Adam. That's how he created humankind, as male and female. Okay? And as male and female, he creates also the church, which is the bride of Christ. Now, I know people are very misinformed about things, but again, if you think you're misinformed, you need to do your own research. You need to let the Holy Spirit guide you. Listen to my videos. I have plenty of videos on this subject. And eventually I will talk about it. But today I don't want to go into detail because I want you to understand that what we have been fed for thousands of years is lie. There is only a small amount of truth in all the lies that we've been fed. Okay? Satan is trying to intervene in God's plan for humankind from the beginning. Okay? From the beginning. And from the beginning, we're being fed misinformation. And from the beginning, we are deceived. Now, politics, okay, the world politics is nothing but Satan-led. Satan is leading world politics, has been leading world politics from the beginning of time. He has a plan. He knows God has a plan, and that plan ends when Jesus returns. He knew God had a plan, and he knew somewhat that the Messiah is going to come, and he tried to intervene into that. He tried to prevent from Messiah to come and to die. He didn't know exactly how things would work out because God was hiding the plan. Okay, so he had to maneuver around it. He had to kill the bloodline from which, or eliminate the bloodline from which the Messiah had to come out of, and God had to protect that bloodline, which he did, because Satan thought the bloodline would come out of Solomon, and he didn't come out of Solomon. He came out of Nathan. Okay, so there's this war going on between Satan and God, but all along God had a plan, and that plan will end when Jesus returns, and Satan knows it. And so he has orchestrated everything in this world. We cannot isolate the stuff that's happening in the world with politics from really the things of God, because this war is going on in this world. And people, when you go along with the things of this world, you will be misled, because none of these governments are from God. None. Okay? Not the United States, not any other government. The governments are ruled by Satan. Okay? If people think, oh, Trump is the whatever, used by God. No. Yes, he could be used by God because other rulers were used by God. But these rulers were still corrupt, and they still could have been used, by Satan. So I understand some people think, oh, you know what, Trump is led by God to do blah, blah, blah. No, he isn't. He is used. He is part of this world government. Just like Bush was a puppet, Obama was a puppet, so is Trump a puppet. I just watched iPad. It's called iPad Goat 2. If you want to read that, if you want to look at that video, that is an interesting video in which Bush and Obama were used as a puppet. Now, of course, Trump wasn't around at that time, but if Trump would have been around, he would have been one of those puppets too. Okay, you can go back. All the presidents were puppets. All the presidents were puppets. All the world rulers were puppets. Okay, not just Hitler. People think, oh, Hitler was a puppet of Satan. No, not just Hitler. This whole system in Europe during Hitler's time, they were all puppets. Winston Churchill was a puppet. It was nothing but a puppet. Okay. Um, the king of England during the Second World War was a puppet. Okay, the presidents of the United States, France, they were all puppets. They were all maneuvered around like a chess game. And who was maneuvering around? It was, Satan and God. They're maneuvering around the little chess things. Yes, and mostly it is maneuvered around by Satan. Okay, he is maneuvered around. He is the one who has puppets. God doesn't have puppets. He may use people, but his real people are not puppets. So we are free. We are free to choose him or not. So we're not puppets. We can say, okay, God, lead me, but he's not going to force us. Now, Satan is a different story. He will use people. So this whole world is right now under the influence of Satan. And if you think it otherwise, then you're wrong. Then you're misled. And that was my um, movie about today, is people being misled. So I want to finish up today, but I thought this was an important video. And unfortunately, it probably will not reach these thousands of people that the people will reach that will mislead you, which is probably also a, um, a goal of Satan or a doing of Satan. So, you know what? Whatever. I put things in God's hands and He will do what He wants with my videos. And that's all I can say to that. All right. Let the Holy Spirit guide you. Always, always, always let the Holy Spirit guide you.